Hi everyone, welcome to the Active Knowledge series, The Practice of Non-Greed. Today we're stepping to the side a bit, we're breaking out and we're going to look at the achiever trait, which is part of becoming a worthy leader. Achiever, enabler, catalyst. We'll come to that in a minute or so if you haven't looked at those previous chapters yet. But I just want to start with creating a story, an analogy, an example maybe to help us understand this journey which we're going on. Something which will allow us to anchor ourselves in maybe an understanding of the challenge we're going to take on. And I think a good way to think about this is just think about a young athlete, someone who's been involved in sport for some time, they have a passion for it, they have a real burning energy, they believe they can do well, they believe they can become a world champion, and they are setting themselves on this path. What's that going to be like? Well, they're obviously going to be working on their basic skills. Their skills need to come to a high level so they can compete at that global, that international, that world level. And they'll be working on that, and they'll be continually doing their drills and their practices and their routines to continue to get that settled and down and at its peak. While they're doing that, they're probably going to get a very clear sense of what is it they do well, better than anyone else. And they're going to lean into that because that's going to be their competitive strength which they're going to go forward with. They're also going to see themselves as a winner. So they're going to come onto that competitive field, they're going to know I can win, I can see myself winning, and therefore I'm removing any mental barriers which I may have. I'm going to step through that and I'm going to see, yes, I won. There's going to be a discipline, isn't there? A self-discipline to get out of bed every morning and day after day to continue to do those drills while other people are off doing many other things. They're going to be slogging through that. There's going to be a mental strength which is going to come with that. And I think that mental strength comes in a couple of parts. There is a mental strength to overcome negativities, maybe is a way to express it. And you can say it's failures, but as I'm striving to do my best, there's many things which are not going to work for me. I'm going to trip over my own feet, for example. And rather than saying, how dumb am I can't even walk, I'm going to say, okay, I need to do it this way. So they're not going to take the negatives and allow them to come through. They're going to block those. They're not going to reinforce them. They're going to turn everything into a positive expression. I need to do it this way. I need to do it that way. The other part of the mental strength which is going to come to them is the ability, as they step on the competitive field, to block out the noise which is not relevant and to focus on what they need to achieve, and to achieve that. They become very much process focused. If you speak to someone who's just come off the competitive field, they've done extremely well, they've beaten everyone else, you turn around and say, what allowed you to do that? And they're going to say, I focused on my process. I knew what I had to do to bring my best to the table. I did that without distraction. It brought my best to the table, and today that best was sufficient to win. If you think about what that journey looks like, if you begin to embed yourself in that, then you'll begin to understand what it means to become an achiever. Someone to develop that trait in themselves, because it is those skills. Your outcome is slightly different. Your outcome here is, I want to be an effective leader in the organization in which I work, but it's the same process focused outcome you're going to come to. So keep that sort of story in your mind as we go through the achiever trait and becoming an achiever, because there is a very high level of commonality. I think that's what I'm trying to say to you. The other just touch point before we go forward, motive. In the earlier chapters on the practice of non-greed, you heard me speaking about the importance of motive and having the right motive. If you come to the table as a leader, as an aspiring leader, and you say, it's about money, it's about my ego, it's about my self-interest, it's about getting ahead, you're coming to the table with the wrong motive, and you're going to undermine yourself before you've even started. So you've got to have your head in the right space on motive. It's got to be about the right motive, and the right motive is typically about serving others, doing something for others, putting others ahead of you. So if you're here and you're saying, I want to become an achiever because I want to become rich and wealthy and be on the top of the world and better than everyone else, you'll probably trip before you get there. So just think about that motive as well. The other aspect which I just wanted to speak about before we jump into this journey is, it's a good word, I would use the word virtues, but I think virtues is maybe a bit old-fashioned. I'm not sure how many people were going to associate with this. Maybe benchmarks is a better way to express it, anchors, but there's three. I'll call them traits, but I prefer the word virtues: wisdom, courage, and strength. As you commence on this journey, you want to be saying to yourself, I want to have wisdom, I want to have courage, I want to have strength, because I need those as fundamentals to allow me to make this journey successful within itself. And what do we mean by these? Wisdom, knowing what is right for you and where your strengths and passions lie. Knowing what is right for you and where your strengths and passions lie. Not someone telling you, but you knowing. Wisdom. Courage, overcoming your fears, your doubts, being adventurous, and stepping forward in faith, a faith in yourself. And the third one, strength, taking step after step and building stride with each step, getting up when you fall down, and just building this unstoppable momentum towards being an achiever. Wisdom, courage, strength. You need to anchor yourself in these, because on this journey, you are going to trip over. You are going to have to get up. You are going to have to continue forward. And if you can't put yourself in a position where you're saying, I'm thinking about this carefully, I'm bringing wisdom to the table, I have the courage to take the risks, knowing I may not be successful, and I have the strength to get out of bed each morning and push it forward, again, you're not going to get there. These are the starting points, the starting blocks almost. Okay, so let's step forward into this. Leadership, the achiever trait. Let's just look once again at our competitive engine. It's coming up on your screen now. You'll see what we've got is the core of the engine, and within the core is leadership. So point one, leadership is the core of the core. If leadership is weak, the core is weak. If the core is weak, the entire organization is weak. So that's why we're focusing on leadership. And we're talking about this process. You need to go from an achiever, yourself can achieve, to being an enabler, you can help others achieve, to being a catalyst, you can bring the entire organization to a level where it is just achieving more than anyone ever thought possible. And that's this progression, again, just coming up on the screen for those who may have missed it previously. Achiever, enabler, catalyst, that expanding leadership capability from leading yourself to leading a small team of others to leading a large, much more diverse organization. We're starting in that core of the core, the achiever, as we journey forward and just understand what that means. The achiever trait, what is it? The achiever trait describes this combination of characteristics that collectively represent the engine within you that underpins your ability and drives that ability to succeed, to have this level of just enduring success in all that you do. We've spoken about in the Practice Non-Greed the competitive engine which sits within the organization. This is the competitive engine which sits within you. Your achiever trait is your competitive engine. You build the strength of the components of that engine, you keep them well tuned, you keep them aligned, and you end up with a life of enduring success where people turn around and say, I can't understand how they just keep moving forward. They seem to be so happy, they seem to be so successful, they achieve what they set out to achieve, and they just keep doing it day after day after day. That is the achiever trait. That is what we're seeking to achieve. There's three sections to it, if I use that language: core, triad, and cloud. Say that again: core, triad, and cloud. And we're going to look at each one individually and just see what they represent. The core. The core is your essence. It's like the core of the competitive engine, the core of the core. The core is your essence. It is your cornerstone. It is your anchor. I would say it's your heart. It's who you are as an individual at that most inner core. That's your core. The triad, obviously, is three elements. And the triad is a union. There's sort of three strands. They're interweaved into one. They're not easily broken. They're hardwired in who you are. You can think about it as being your structure, your framework. It's what you build yourself upon. So I have the core, I have the triad, And then sitting right above the top of it, we have what I simply call the cloud. The cloud is your space for imagination, for play, for fantasy, for freedom, for dreaming. Yes, it can be meditation, it can be spiritual, but it's sitting up above that rock solid framework of the triad and within that core. And all these again feed upon themselves. They're all integrated, they're all interrelated. If one is weak, the other is weak. The achiever trait requires us to seed and create that core, to stimulate it and get it going, to work and strengthen that triad, each one of the arms of that, and then to permit ourselves the freedom to be in that cloud, to bring that creativity to it. The core. I express the core as being the essence of who you are. There is an inner ring and an outer ring. An inner ring and an outer ring. The inner ring is humility and the outer ring is gratitude. Inner ring, humility, outer ring, gratitude. I use the expression humility and its power. Humility again is a virtue. It's one which I think we see in today's community, in today's society, as being a weakness. It's not. It's in actual fact a significant strength. It is the seed of great leaderships and great organizations. You should be studying and pursuing it, but it just has this flavor to it that it sounds weak. No, humility requires a great strength. It is the core of your enduring success. Why? Well, humility allows you to learn, to be grateful, not to take yourself too seriously, to seek continuous improvement, to take failure in your stride, to be able to work with the best at the best. Why? Ego doesn't get in the way. Self-interest doesn't get in the way. I'm not hung up on, but I'm right. No. I'm there. I am actively listening. I'm taking everyone on board and I'm taking everyone with me. And I'm actively learning and building relationships. It is a foundational trait. It's an essence. It's a core which allows everything else to be built upon it. You can win trust, continuous improvement, learning. It allows everyone to be willing to work with you, and leadership requires that everyone is willing to work with you and you can take everyone forward, the best of the best. So think about humility. Think about how you seed that humility within yourself and how you no longer feel challenged by thoughts which are different to yours, but are able to open your arms and embrace them. Thoughts and people who are not the same as you, so you can learn and soak it in and work with that to go forward. It allows you to place someone else before you, humility. It allows you to uplift them and invest in them. It's not a sign of a lack of ambition, rather it's a sign of a willingness to hold power, leadership, authority in the service of others. It reflects a business leader who places others ahead of themselves. It allows you to promote the strength of everyone else involved in the business and therefore lead the business to being great. Remember, the competitive strength of a business lies in the combined talent and effort of everyone working within and with that business. That is what you want to bring to the forefront. This is what humility allows you to tap into. Inner core, humility. Stepping out from that, gratitude. From the core of humility, you are able to look upon everything with thanks. Because I'm not hung up on myself, I can look at everything which comes to me with a positive reflection. I'm able to wake up each morning with a positive outlook on life, with an excitement about what the day will hold and what I can achieve. It's not about seeing things through some glossy false lens, no, but viewing life with a lens that looks for opportunity, that creates a positive energy, that's able to accept negativity and just let it fall to the ground and see what opportunity may lie in there. If you are grateful in life, you are a person who gives. If you're a person who gives and has thanks as a core trait, it seems to just generate this energy of positivity and success flows from that. Whichever way you want to look at that, have a positive attitude on life, see opportunities and it seems to just work. So within myself, I have a core of humility. I don't have to prove myself. I have a confidence in myself, and I'm open to hearing what all others have got and to learn from them and to uplift them. I have an attitude of gratitude. It's a good expression, an attitude of gratitude. And I look upon everything which comes to me with a positive attitude. I accept it and I move forward to bring it to a place where I'm benefiting from it. Let's now step into the second part, the triad. Come to a triangle with my arms. The triad, which is body, beliefs, and words. There are three elements of this triad. Together, they build a strength which allows you to step forward in striving to fulfill your goals and to endure. They allow you to pursue and attain. The triad feeds the core, and the core feeds the triad. With humility and gratitude, I can take on the challenges which I've got. With the triad being strong, the core is fed and nurtured. It's very important that you see the connection between the three. Strength flows through the three. If one is weakened, all are weakened. They are interdependent. They need to be balanced, but you need to lean into them and just progressively strengthen all of them. So let's look at the triad and just look at each one of them. The body. The body's, in one sense, you can say, pretty simple, but not easy. Physical, mental, and emotional health are vital for enduring success. Physical, mental, and emotional health are vital for enduring success. If I'm not physically well, if I'm physically weak, if I allow my body to weaken and to fail, then my ability to think clearly, my ability to sustain a good, strong emotional base begins to sway, begins to weaken, and it's difficult to move forward. The extent to which my ability to be successful is impacted will depend on the degree of that weakness. So I need to have a strong physical body, and I need to be continuing to grow and strengthen that. Enduring strength. Healthier each and every day. I need to be building my emotional strength. My ability to be comfortable and happy within myself. To not be up and down all over the place. Remember, humility, gratitude. Think of what that does for that emotional strength. And then sitting beside that also that mental strength. The clarity, the discipline, the image of who I am, they all come together. I hope you're sort of getting a sense of that first aspect of the body. You know, the physical, the mental, emotional. Again, it's a triad, but we're using it as the foundation down the bottom. Words. I'm working on myself. I'm getting myself physically stronger, mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, so I can move forward and take on challenges. Words. The power of words, creative and destructive. Creative and destructive. They should never be underestimated. And these are words which you write. These are words which you speak. These are words which you text. These are words which you think. About yourself firstly, and then about others. You start with yourself first. You need to make sure that you're using words of encouragement and recognition which feed and grow. But I also then need to be very conscious about how I think and speak to others. Because not only can words cut and crush, they can destroy, they can pull apart, and they not only can do it to me, but they can do it to others. So the second platform, the second part, and we're going up around this way on the triad, is words. Be very conscious of the words you use for yourself and for others. And it's not just the words you speak out, it's the words you think. It's also the words you read. It's what you take into it as well. If you put poison into the system, you are going to poison it. Humility, gratitude, a good golden core. Coming out of that, I'm working to strengthen the foundation of my physical, mental, and emotional body. Now, I'm looking at the language I use, the words, and how that is nurturing and strengthening who I am as a person. The third aspect of the triad is beliefs. What do you think of yourself? Consciously and subconsciously. How do you see yourself? The power of self-image. You need to have an image of yourself, and at times you need to rewire, rub out the old one, and create a new self-image of yourself. So think of that athlete at the beginning we were speaking about. If they saw themselves as being a failure, do you think they're going to be able to go out there and to compete and to win? If they saw themselves as being hopeless, if they saw themselves as not being strong enough, if they saw themselves as being a couch potato, they're not going to achieve anything. So this self-image of who you are becomes quite important. But be careful, it's not ego, it's not greed, it's not self-interest. It is a humble person who has an attitude of gratitude, but has a passion to achieve. Humility does not reflect lack of achievement, lack of ambition, not at all. So back to the beliefs. What do you think of yourself? How do you process the world around you? How do you interpret events? This can have a profound effect. So the way in which I process events around the world and how I process them about who I am becomes vital. You've got to be very conscious, and you have to have trained yourself consciously, so subconsciously it's in place, to react and respond and interpret events which happen in your life. Appreciate how they may impact your ability to achieve, but very much make sure they are not negatives which drag you down. You always see the opportunity and the positive, you always push through the challenges, and you come out the other side stronger. The way you interpret what is happening in your life becomes important. So our triad consists of the body, the words, and the beliefs. They come together to form that dynamic which allows me to go forward, are charged by humility and gratitude. Now we come to the last part, the cloud. And it's the only way I could think of to express this was the cloud. It's like sitting up there. The cloud represents your dreams, your passions, your imaginations, the freedom you allow yourself to play with what's possible, to play with what's impossible, to do what you love in life. And if you go back to the athlete again, their dreams about standing up there and getting the medal, about how being the best in the world, about how breaking the world records, about taking themselves to a level where they never thought they would be able to get there, but they have, and they've driven themselves to it. They dream about that. They fantasize about that. That is part of the energy that keeps them going. So the cloud is this. You can say it's play, it's imagination, it's dreams, it's releasing yourself to consider the impossible and making them possible. And the question I ask is, so how much time do you spend playing? How much time do you spend fantasizing? How much time do you spend allowing your imagination just to run wild and to think about what could be? That's the cloud. As adults, we've trained ourselves that we should not do this because life is serious. There's wealth to be built. There's ego to be built. There's reputations to be built. We can't allow ourselves to play. It won't get you anywhere. Play is our exploration and ignites possibilities. You should play all the time. Opportunity will be a reward. Success will be a reward. Finding possibilities will be a reward. And endless energy just to keep going will be your reward. So what's an achiever? They're someone who develops a humility and a gratitude which allows them to take everything else on board and to keep going forward with a positive attitude. It allows them to uplift others, to hear their ideas, to embrace them, to bring them in, to win their trust, to win their support. Helps you go forward. They're very conscious of their language. Spoken, written, texted, and thought. How am I thinking about myself? How am I thinking about others? How am I going to express this to uplift them and carry them forward? Within my pure nature, within my heart, I uplift people, I encourage people, and with them, so do I go. Physically, I train to keep my body strong. I eat well, I sleep well, I work well. Emotionally and mentally, I don't allow the negatives to get into me. I protect myself from the poisons in our society, which can easily get inside and pull me apart. There's an interesting expression which I like. You must be calm to be successful. Something in my meditative work which I found that. You must be calm to be successful. If I'm not emotionally calm, if I'm not mentally calm, if I'm not strong in those to allow that calmness to be there, then I can't go forward. Humility and gratitude, conscious of my words, physically, emotionally, mentally strong, and building that strength, playful. I dream, I imagine, I think of what is impossible and work out how it's going to be possible. This is the joy which I bring myself. This is the playfulness which I bring myself. This is the energy which I bring myself, which allows me to be an achiever because I'm not allowing anything to flatten me or to hold me back. Just before we begin to close out on the achiever and the achiever trait, I just want to talk a moment about mastery. Being an achiever is something which you've got to master. What does that mean? It means it's a never-ending journey. The more you learn, the more you understand how much you don't know. The more you learn, the more you understand how much you don't know. The more you strive and practice become stronger, the deeper you will see and the deeper you will understand how much further you can go. This is not, I read the book and I'm doing it. No. This is a lifetime journey. As an achiever, to become an enabler, to become a catalyst, this is a journey where you're going to be seeking to continuously improve and strengthen and refine. Habits, practices, traits, virtues, values. You're going to be digging into these and building them stronger. It's not a journey which goes for a few years and then you stop. No, it's continuous. So mastery, just take that on board, and mastery is a lifetime journey where you become better and better and better. So, the achiever trait. It's a journey which allows me as an individual to strengthen my ability to succeed. It means I take failure in my stride and I do not let that stop me. It means negativity throwing at me falls to the ground and I keep going. It means the things around me which may seek to hold me back and drag me back, I just move forward. It's not about ego, it's not about self-interest, it's not about greed, it's about something greater than that. And that can simply be bringing my best to the forefront. At the center is a core. It needs humility and gratitude so I can grow and so I can uplift others. There is a framework which sits around that, which allows my physical body, my being, to step forward and to do things. The body, it is about physical, mental and emotional strength and resilience. The words I do, the words I speak, the words I think reinforce my knowledge that I will be successful and that I can achieve, and the beliefs which sit beside that also help me to say, no, this is who I am, this is who I know I am, and I know I can achieve this, which allows me just to push forward through the challenges which will be there. And then, up in the clouds, is that imagination, is that play, is that fantasizing about what could be, to allow me to find that passion and energy to make it all real. This is what an achiever is. A bit weird, hey? But it's what allows you to be someone who can step forward within yourself and have a life of enduring success, can help others have a life of enduring success, and can develop organizations which just are phenomenal in what they achieve in their marketplace. Let's talk about some of the traits. The traits which will come out from you as a leader in the organization you work at. I'm just going to read some of these through. An achiever. We are at our core humble people who are open to continual improvement and learning. We place others ahead of ourselves, thereby gaining their support and respect. We embrace and seek out change. Better every day is our mantra. We have an attitude of gratitude, placing us in a disposition to see possibilities. We are givers, not takers. We see the opportunities and the possibilities. We focus on our physical, mental and emotional health and always seek to strengthen these. Our body can deliver on the promises our spirit makes. Let me say that again. Our body can deliver on the promises our spirit makes. We understand the power of words and are careful to craft our words to reinforce ourselves and those around us. We only speak, write, think, and visualize in the positive. We recognize that our beliefs can both empower and disempower us, and we seek to recognize and influence their impact on our responses and our decisions. We always reaffirm and embrace our positive beliefs and disown and close out negative ones. We allow ourselves to play, to let our imagination loose, to dream of what could be, and for all this to feed into our goals and our ambitions. We dream of the impossible to make them possible. We set ourselves up for success by establishing positive practices and habits, and we remove from our life those elements that will pull us down. We are process focused in building the right habits. I'll say that again. We are process focused in building the right habits. So part of the exploration for you, as you pick up this framework and you begin to say, so what does this mean for me? How do I tailor my processes to bring myself to a place where I'm an achiever? Now, this is something you probably will need to work with a coach to help you sort of draw out, because you need to have a bit of someone looking from the outside, but you also in introspection and understanding, so what's the program I need to put in place to allow me to bring my achiever trait to the forefront? So while we've created a framework and given you a bit of an insight, the actual specific activities you're going to need, that's going to be you individually crafting those. So what am I going to look like when I actually have got this working? This, I think, is a good picture. You're going to be self-confident but not arrogant. You're going to be strong but relaxed. You're going to be articulate in purpose. You're going to be clear in beliefs. Renewing through words, grateful in life, giving, humble and playful. You're going to uplift others and hold yourself back, I think, is a good way to express that. And when you see someone who is an achiever, you will recognize that within them. So the achiever trait is just, I call it a set of characteristics. It's a traits. It's a way of life. It's a way of interacting with others. It is about how you interact with others. But to start that, it comes from you internally. You've got to mold yourself into being an achiever. And only once you've done that, can you actually truly help others around you begin to become achievers themselves. And only when you're doing that can you step out wider and step back and say, let me look at this organization and understand what needs to change. The competitive engine is the framework which allows you to do that, but you're going to come there with the right attitude, with the right motive, with the right character to actually use the framework to lift the organization to the forefront. The achiever trait. I hope this breakout session has given you a bit of insight to the way I think about this, and I hope it'll guide you forward in bringing your real potential to the forefront and applying it. All the best. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, it's Sally here. I work with Richard. You will see coming up on the next 3 slides. Firstly, a URL link if you are interested in purchasing Richard's guide to the competitive engine, titled Compete, which is a 274-page full-color guide in either printed or a digital PDF format, or both if you wish. Secondly, a URL link to Richard's library of some 500 articles on the various elements of the competitive engine and more that you can access freely. And thirdly, there is an email address for any questions you may have. These are great resources, and I commend them to you. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and I hope to see you again soon.